The walls feel like they're closing in, not because of anything newly revealed, but because an old rumor refuses to disappear. It's late December 2025, just days before the new year. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are posting carefully curated family photos, smiling, relaxed, projecting stability. On the surface, it looks like another attempt to reset their public image after years of controversy. But beneath that glossy presentation, a story that royal watchers have argued about for years is gaining traction again, quietly, persistently, and without any official confirmation. It's the rumor Meghan has never addressed. A supposed marriage that allegedly happened before Trevor Engelson. A name that keeps surfacing in forums, comment sections, and private discussions. Joe Giuliano. And the more people dig, the more divided they become over whether this is the most carefully buried secret in royal-adjacent history, or simply one of the internet's most stubborn myths. Before anything else, this needs to be said clearly. There are no public records confirming this marriage ever happened. No marriage certificate. No annulment paperwork. No first-hand confirmation from Meghan Markle, Joe Giuliano, or anyone in either family. What exists instead is a rumor, one that refuses to fade, built on specificity, repetition, and interpretation rather than proof. And that alone raises a question worth examining. Why won't this story die? To understand why people still talk about it, you first have to understand what the rumor actually claims. According to years of online speculation, Meghan Markle was allegedly involved in a brief relationship when she was very young, late teens or early 20s, with a man named Joseph Giuliano, sometimes referred to as Joe Giuliano. The claim goes further, suggesting this relationship allegedly led to a short-lived marriage that ended quickly and quietly. Long before Meghan's confirmed marriage to Trevor Engelson in 2011, Joe Giuliano is a real person. That part is verifiable. He's a criminal defense attorney based in Boston with an established legal career. What is not verifiable is whether he and Meghan were ever romantically involved at all, let alone married. That gap between what's real and what's claimed is where the speculation lies. Some versions of the story say the marriage ended through an annulment rather than a divorce, allegedly pushed by Giuliano's family. Others say it was simply a quiet divorce. And then there are versions that introduce entirely different claims, including a child, which would legally complicate or even contradict the annulment narrative altogether. These contradictions don't stop the rumor. If anything, they seem to fuel it. But claims alone don't explain why this story keeps resurfacing. The most emotionally charged part of the rumor centers on one specific idea: that Joe Giuliano's family allegedly rejected Meghan completely. According to unverified accounts repeated across forums and social media, his family supposedly believed she was wrong for their son from the start. The reasons vary depending on who's telling the story. Some claim his family viewed Meghan as overly ambitious, someone allegedly using their son's legal connections to advance an entertainment career. Others say the objection was cultural or religious, with repeated references to the family being Catholic and wanting the marriage erased rather than dissolved. Still others frame it as distrust, a belief that her motives weren't genuine and that ending things quickly was the safest option. One detail that comes up again and again is the claim that Giuliano's mother was especially vocal about wanting the relationship ended. That kind of specificity makes people pause. Because if a story were entirely invented, why include such oddly precise details? And that's where logic cuts both ways. If someone wanted to fabricate a damaging rumor about Meghan Markle, why choose a man with no public connection to her? Joe Giuliano isn't famous. He's not part of Hollywood. He's not royal adjacent. He's not someone who benefits from publicity. That randomness makes believers suspicious. At the same time, skeptics argue that randomness makes the story convenient because it's nearly impossible to disprove. Then there's the so-called evidence, or what passes for it in online spaces. First, there are wedding photos that circulate periodically, showing a woman who some say resembles a young Meghan in a wedding dress beside a man they claim is Giuliano. The photos are blurry. The woman's face isn't clearly identifiable. There's no metadata, no verification, and no confirmation from anyone involved. At best, they're ambiguous. At worst, they're unrelated images misattributed over time. Second, there's a comment from a 2019 video featuring actress Paula Trickey during a casual conversation at a golf event. In the clip, she appears to say something along the lines of Meghan having already been married and divorced, possibly with a child. Supporters of the rumor treat this as confirmation. Skeptics point out that the comment was vague, unspecific, and could easily have been referring to Trevor Engelson. One offhand remark doesn't establish a hidden marriage. Third, there are claims of deleted social media posts, images allegedly showing Giuliano with a young girl who some speculate could be connected to Meghan. These claims rely entirely on content that no longer exists publicly and cannot be independently verified, which means viewers are being asked to take someone else's word for it. That's the entirety of the so-called evidence. Blurry photos, one vague comment, and speculation about deleted content. By any standard, it's thin. And yet, the rumor persists. Why? Because for many people, this story doesn't exist in isolation. It fits into a broader perception of Meghan Markle that some viewers already hold. A perception built on documented estrangements. Her father, her half-siblings, former friends, colleagues, even public figures who claim they were once close and then abruptly cut off. When people believe they see a pattern, they start filling in gaps. So when a rumor surfaces about an early marriage that allegedly ended badly and was never acknowledged, it feels consistent to those who already believe Meghan carefully edits her past. To them, the absence of evidence isn't proof of innocence. It's proof of how thoroughly something was erased. Of course, absence of evidence can also mean something never happened at all. And that's the problem with rumors like this. They thrive in the space between what can be proven and what feels believable. Nowhere is that more obvious than in the annulment angle. Catholic annulments are real. They're legal within the church and declare a marriage invalid due to a fundamental issue at the time it took place. But they are not quick. They are not simple. And they leave paper trails. Church tribunals investigate. Records are created. Documentation exists. The idea that an annulment could be granted, processed, and then completely erased without trace stretches credibility for many observers. Believers argue that powerful legal teams and public relations professionals can make inconvenient records disappear. Skeptics counter that institutional processes don't work that way. Both sides remain unconvinced by the other, which leads to the most important question of all. What would actually have to be true for this rumor to be real? Meghan Markle would have had to marry very young. The relationship would have had to end almost immediately. The separation would have needed to leave no accessible public record. Joe Giuliano would have had to maintain absolute silence for decades, despite being a public-facing attorney. His family would have had to do the same. Meghan would have had to conceal this history from Trevor Engelson, from the British royal family's extensive background checks, and from every journalist who's investigated her life. That level of secrecy isn't impossible, but it's extraordinarily difficult to maintain over time. And that's why skeptics dismiss the story outright. Believers, on the other hand, argue that this level of coordination is exactly what makes it plausible. They believe Meghan's strength lies in narrative control. shaping how her past is presented and who gets access to it. Whether that belief is fair or not depends entirely on perspective. Some even speculate that the royal family may have known about this alleged chapter during their vetting process. That figures like Prince William or Queen Elizabeth had reservations based on information the public never saw. But again, this is speculation layered on top of speculation. There are many reasons the royal family may have been cautious that have nothing to do with secret marriages. What keeps this rumor alive more than anything is the broader issue of trust. Meghan has publicly told her story in ways that sometimes conflict with accounts from others in her life. She's minimized some connections while highlighting others. To supporters, that's survival. To critics, it's manipulation. And in that environment, even unproven claims can gain traction. So where does that leave us? We know Meghan Markle married Trevor Engelson. We know she divorced him. We know she married Prince Harry. We know Joe Giuliano exists. Everything else, the alleged marriage, the family rejection, the annulment, the supposed cover-up, remains unverified. No documents have surfaced. No first-hand accounts have been confirmed. No one involved has spoken publicly, which means this story exists in a strange limbo. Too detailed for some to dismiss outright. Too unsupported for others to accept. As time passes, it increasingly looks like one of two things. Either one of the most successfully buried personal chapters connected to a global public figure, or a rumor that grew legs because people wanted it to be true.